What is up, people, and welcome back to my Rags to Riches F1 2010 to 2014 career mode. This is the career mode where we go from one of the worst teams in F1 2010, work our way through the ranks and through the teams, and try and get a drive for one of the best teams in F1 2014. We are currently in the F1 2011 season at round 11 or 10. Round 11, I believe this is, the Hungarian Grand Prix, and today is actually going to be the start of a triple header. We're going to have 3 episodes for you guys today, mainly because I missed an upload on Monday, so I'm making up for it for you guys today with a good old triple bill. So let's have a look at the emails going into today's race, and we just have some race information. Light cloud clear, light cloud, no wet weather across the whole of this race weekend, which is really nice to see. And looking at the standings before we head into this episode as well, we're on 104 points at the moment. We're in 6th place, which means that we will be driving for Williams next season if we can hold on to that. So we're not too sure at the moment. Lewis Hamilton is in a quicker car than us, so he could certainly make up that gap across the rest of the season. But if you remember back to the first time of doing Rags to Riches, we got 5th in F1 2011. And that will only be good enough for a Williams seat, whereas last time it was good enough for a Force India. However, I changed it up this time, and 1st to 3rd is good enough for a Force India seat. So if we can challenge with those guys ahead of us, then maybe we can push for a Force India seat for next season. Right, nothing else really to talk about. I've changed my helmet back after the British Grand Prix, of course. So without any further ado, let's head into the race weekend for the Hungarian Grand Prix. Here we go then, one-shot qualifying for the Hungarian Grand Prix. We've just flick it through the final corner, down on the power, using DRS, using KERS, and away we go. What sort of lap time can we set a circuit, which we don't really tend to do well at? Hopefully, we can set a really nice lap time indeed, and it's not the best of turns in towards turn 1, but we can make it up across the rest of the lap. So far, so good. Only 4 attempts down on Mark Webber's time, so that's not too bad. That is a good lap so far. Really nice lap. Only a few corners left to go. How are we looking? 1.2 seconds down still at the moment. That is a really decent lap time. We're right behind Kamui Kobayashi. Hopefully he doesn't hold us up too much, which he has done. Thank you very much, Kamui Kobayashi. But we saw barge him out of the way. Get out of the way, Kamui. I'm on a fast lap. I need to set a good lap time here. I want to get high up in this qualifying session. I want to do at least better than 18th place. Here we go, down towards line. It's not going to be pole. Where's it going to be? 13th at the moment. That is much better than an 18th place. Hopefully, none of the guys behind us can set better lap times, and we can go on to stay in 13th place at the end of this session. Good job at the end of that qualifying session. 13th place is a pretty decent result. It's much better than we have done recently in 18th. We've beaten our teammate as well for the 4th time, I believe, this season, which is nice. It's going to help us in the teammate challenge against him. And unfortunately, we haven't really been very competitive amongst the top 6 drivers. But, you know, we're not really too focused on the qualifying sessions. We always do worse in the qualifying sessions than we do in the races. And hopefully, that will happen again here today. Jenson Button not having a good qualifying session, though. He's only in 10th place. So I'll be looking to maybe close up on the championship leader in today's race as well. We weren't exactly too slow compared to the 2 Toro Rossos, but the top 10 was very quick compared to 6/10 of a second faster at the end of the day. So it's going to be difficult to maybe compete with those guys, but we always do better in the races. We're always a lot quicker than the AI. They're obviously fighting with each other, and we just sort of capitalize on that and get some nice easy moves. So hopefully we can do that in the race here again today. So without any further ado, let's see what we can do in the Hungarian Grand Prix. It's race day. It is, of course, the Hungarian Grand Prix, a track which we never really tend to do well at, especially in recent times in F1 2016 and F1 2015. But we will be looking to do something special here today, and hopefully we can battle with the top guys. We've only qualified in P13, but we always do better in the races than we do in the qualifying sessions. Looking at the tyre strategy, we are going to start on the primes because we have got that choice, and then we're going to be pitting for the options on lap 8. We're just going to make sure that we sort of be very conservative with our tyres. Tyre wear at this circuit is not the best, so we do want to be aware of that one and try not to burn out our tyres too quickly. Nothing else to talk about, no chance of rain, so let's head down to the track and get today's race underway. Mark Webber was your pole sitter for today's Hungarian Grand Prix, with Lewis Hamilton lining up in 2nd place. I outqualified my teammate for the 4th time this season, qualifying in P13, with Rubens Barrichello behind me, 13th, sorry not 13th, 17th on the grid. I'm in P13. Must remember that as the lights start to come on now. It's 3, 4, 5 red lights. And it is lights out and away we go for today's Hungarian Grand Prix. And straight away, everybody moving over to the right-hand side. I want to be over on that right-hand side as well. Oh, as I barged into the back of Jaime Alguersuari. I do need to be cautious on the braking in towards this corner. Don't want to go into the back of anybody and lose my front wing and take anybody else out of the race at the same time as well. But it looks like it's been nice and clean. We've managed to move ourselves up into P9 at the moment. Need to be a bit cautious behind Jenson Button. Running it a bit wide there. Oh, wow. Okay, thank you very much for that, Nick Heidfeld. Pushing me onto the grass. Brilliant. Love that from you. Else we go side by side with Sergio Perez, who, as he comes back onto the circuit, nearly hits my car. Luckily, both of us were very aware of each other, so we didn't actually make a collision there. So that's nice driving from both myself and Sergio Perez, as we maybe have a look at going up the inside of Vitaly Petrov in towards this chicane. And that's a lovely move. That's a great move up the inside of Vitaly Petrov to move up into P9. Right, Jenson Button, you are up next, my good sir. My favourite driver on the grid. And I won't take great pleasure in overtaking you, but you are the championship leader at the moment, so I kind of need to get past you. As I run it a little bit too wide into that corner. Wasn't exactly the best of lines there. Can definitely do better next time. Jenson Button going very defensive in towards the chicane. We've dived it up the inside. Oh, nearly went for the overtake, but we got a warning for corner cutting. Even though I don't really feel like I actually cut that corner. I may have cut it slightly, so I can sort of understand that. I mean, you know, the white lines are the guidelines on the track at the end of the day, but I feel that was a little bit unfair. But a nice little look there on Jenson Button, showing up that we are competitive here today, and we could definitely have a chance of competing with the guys ahead of us. I was close enough to use DRS there on Jenson Button, but a terrible exit out of that final corner sort of really put me at a disadvantage going down in towards turn 1. We're still quite close though to JB and Nico Rosberg, so there definitely is a chance for us to compete with those guys. The top 3 running very far ahead of everybody else at the moment, so it doesn't look like we're going to be competing with those guys unless anything happens in the pit stop phase. But let's just see what we can do on Jenson Button at the moment. JB once again going very defensive in towards the chicane, and I've outbroke myself once again, so not able to go for the overtake just yet on JB, but we are definitely putting on some pressure on my fellow Brit. That was a really nice sector 2. As you can see, I've closed up on Jenson Button quite a bit now, so I will hopefully be putting on the pressure. Maybe by the next lap we might be able to have a look once again in towards that chicane where we are actually quite quick through there. So fingers crossed we can close up on Jenson Button through this lap and possibly challenge for the top 8. Here we got DRS as well, and a nice exit out of the final corner. Nearly our best lap of the race so far. We're putting ourselves closer and closer to that gearbox of Jenson Button. We just need to try and challenge for the overtake, which hasn't happened just of yet. Oh, I think Jenson Button may. Yes, he has. Jenson Button's rear tyre has just exploded right in front of me. Wow, was not expecting to see that on an F1 2011 game. Someone else, yes! Nico Rosberg, exactly the same thing has happened. His tyres have completely gone. What on earth is going on here at this Hungarian Grand Prix? Tyre explosion after tyre explosion. Will that happen to any other drivers? That's really frustrating for Nico Rosberg, because he's now got to do a whole entire lap with a puncher. Surely he's just going to retire from this race. I'm not too sure whether he will continue or not. We'll just have to wait and see. But we do need to be aware of this tyre wear, because it's showing that it is a little bit difficult. The tyre wear is a serious factor here today. We've seen 2 drivers have a puncture. I'm not too sure whether any more have had punches in this race, so we're just going to have to wait and see. Right, we are coming into pits on the next lap, but our tyre wear doesn't exactly look that great at the moment. So we're going to be careful through the corners. We're not going to put our foot down, even though we have got traction control on. We're not going to put our foot down because we just don't want to risk it at the end of the day. We do not want to risk the tyres exploding at the start of a lap and then having to do a whole lap with a puncher, because that was... Oh, that's bad. Nearly lost the back end there. Nearly completely threw that away. Yeah, grip is a serious issue right now, but luckily we are coming into pits on this lap. So we can be thankful of that one, because this could be a really serious problem. But we've got slower traffic ahead apparently. So unless these guys... No, they're carrying on still. So they have not got a puncher yet in this race. As wow, okay, game, thank you very much for putting me on the grass. I had that under control, but they're still carrying on. Lewis Hamilton and a back marker. I'm not too sure who that back marker is, but Lewis Hamilton is carrying on. So, Yeah, not too sure what exactly is going on there. But hopefully the other guys affected, we can come out in a good position. At the moment, we're going to come out in P7. Will we stay there, though? Kamui Kobayashi coming down the start-finish straight. But I don't think it's going to be a problem. And no, it is not. It's not going to be a problem for me at all. And I've come out in P7, which is very, very nice position indeed. I have got 5 laps left to go in this race. Let's see what we can do. Oh, there's some slow-moving cars up ahead of us. Could that open the doorway for another position? I think so, unless it's a back marker, which it could well be, because obviously there was that driver who had a problem. I think it might be a back marker, because I think Lewis Hamilton has overtaken him. But they are very, very close together right now, all those drivers. So, I mean, fingers crossed, something might happen, and a driver may get caught up with each other. But we just have to wait and see what goes on in the rest of this race. As there's a driver in the pit lane, is that Lewis Hamilton? I don't think it is. As we're going to come across the line now. No, we're still in P7. Right, so we are catching up to these guys. But it wasn't Lewis Hamilton who's just come into the pit lane. Okay, so we've got some back markers just ahead of us. But I think ahead of this Virgin racing car is actually Lewis Hamilton. So, fingers crossed that it actually is. Please don't get in my way. Glock! Oh my goodness me! It's Glock again. Get out of the way, Glock. Get out of the way. Thank you very much. Oh, it's a blimmin' HRT next. I was hoping it would be Lewis Hamilton, but it's actually a HRT, so that's disappointing. Are we gaining on Lewis? A little bit. 4.8 seconds is the gap, but it's not really enough right now. So Rain Carter having a little battle with Heikki Kovalainen as a car ahead of us apparently has a puncher. So again, the AI are having problems with tyre wear here today as Heikki Kovalainen trying to re-overtake me there. Not too sure what you're doing, fella. There's a lot of guys going slowly in towards the chicane. Please hold each other up. Allow me to catch up to you guys. And let's have a bit of a race. Come on. Jarno Trulli is the next guy ahead of me. He's another slow-moving car. Please get out of the way. Yes, he does. Thank you very much, Jarno. As I've messed up a little bit into that corner. But it's not really going to matter too much. I've got another Virgin racing car ahead of me. I need to get past him very quickly. Who is it? Jerome D'Ambrosio. Hello, fella. Get out of the way. That's it. Pull over to the right-hand side. Brake earlier than me. Okay, or not. I'll just have to go around the outside. Thank you very much, D'Ambrosio. I think there's a lot of drivers that actually are DNF'd. So maybe those guys might actually be able to get points here today. But I'm feeling like I'm just not getting any closer to the leaders at the moment. Lewis Hamilton setting exactly the same lap time. So the only time I actually gain on him is when he's caught up by back markers. So I feel like 7th at the moment is the best I can hope for. But with 1 lap left to go, we will wait and see. Not long left to go now, and that's quite lucky because just look at our tyres. They are completely destroyed here on the back end of this Hungarian Grand Prix. I think Mark Webber's leading the race, and if he is, he should probably go on to win it. Look at that. Tyres are just awful. I picked up some marbles. No! Fernando Alonso is today's race winner of the Hungarian Grand Prix. But we are going to come across the line for a brilliant 7th place, which at the end of the day is probably the best I could have hoped for. I've done extremely well to get 13th in the qualifying session and to finish 7th at a track, which I don't really tend to do well at. I am very happy indeed. So 7th place at the end of the day. I think a lot of drivers had problems with tyre wear, as we saw with Jenson Button, Nico Rosberg. Jenson Button, luckily, his was just before the pit lanes. He was able to come into the pits, but Nico Rosberg, unfortunately for him, he's going to be way down the field. But it was Fernando Alonso who is today's race winner, with Mark Webber in 2nd, Sebastian Vettel in 3rd, rounding out the podium with Felipe Massa in 4th. It's Michael Schumacher in 5th, Lewis Hamilton in 6th, myself in 7th with Kobayashi in 8th, Jaime Alguersuari 9th, and Paul Di Resta in 10th with Sebastian Buemi and Rubens Barrichello just missing out on the points here today. It's a disappointment there for Rubens Barrichello. And who else? Who had DNFs here today? Whoa, quite a lot. Sergio Perez did not finish. So did Nico Rosberg, Jenson Button, Vitaly Petrov, and Nick Heidfeld. So all of those guys having problems, I believe, with tyre wear. Jenson Button definitely had a puncher, so I guess that's what made him stop. And Nico Rosberg as well. Not too sure about Petrov, Heidfeld, and Perez, but I'm guessing they had the same issue as well. Right, let's have a look and see how this affects us in the Drivers' Championship. We're still in 6th. Lewis Hamilton does actually gain on us, And Sebastian Vettel takes the lead of the Drivers' Championship as well, 8 points separating those two. And that is quite fitting because it was actually Sebastian Vettel who won the 2011 championship with Jenson Button in second. So will that happen again this season? We will just have to wait and see. But Lewis Hamilton, that is our main rival at the moment, with Fernando Alonso and Felipe Massa on the exact same amount of points. But they are 27 points ahead of us. So unless we get any race wins soon, it doesn't look like we're going to be battling with Fernando Alonso or Felipe Massa. So it looks like the battle at the moment is just to try and see whether we can hold off Lewis Hamilton and hold on to this Williams seat. Looking at the constructors' standings now, in a good race for Mercedes means that they close up the gap once again. The gap between our two teams is now 14 points. We need to try and hold on to this 4th position as the rest of the season goes on. But that's it for the Hungarian Grand Prix. Let's head back to the menus. A decent race here today then at the Hungarian Grand Prix. 7th was really the best I could have hoped for. I couldn't really battle with the guys ahead of me. We just struggle for pace at this circuit. We always do at Hungary. I don't know what it is about this circuit. You know, I'm usually quite good at technical circuits like Monaco, but for some reason when we go to Hungary, I just can't do it. And yeah, 7th was a really, really good result at the end of the day. Let's look at the driver's standings before we end today's episode. 6th place, a Williams seat for next season, and 110 points, with being 22 points ahead of Lewis Hamilton at this stage of the season. With a lot of races still left to go. We are at round 11, I believe, of the season. So yeah, we've got 8 races left to go, and there is certainly a lot of chances for Lewis Hamilton to catch up. But up next is probably one of my favourite circuits on the calendar. It is, of course, the Belgian Grand Prix at the Circuit Spa-Francorchamps, and I'll be hoping to try and get a decent result. I think I won that race in F1 2010. I'm pretty sure I won that race. Yes, I won Monaco. No, I didn't win Monaco. That's a mistake. I won Canada. I won Germany, and then I won Belgium. So we'll be hoping to definitely get a good race result at that Belgian Grand Prix. So fingers crossed we can get another race win at the Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps. But that is it for today's episode. If you have enjoyed it, don't forget to smash a like on this video. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so for daily Formula 1 content. Don't forget to share this video with your friends. But I'll see you next time at the Belgian Grand Prix. But until then, it's goodbye from me.